My name is Elias Hart. I'm 28. I live in Portland, Oregon, in an old craftsman house that I used to share with my best friend, Camila Reyes. We met in college, both ambitious, both broke, both convinced we were going to change the world. Somewhere between late-night coffee runs and demo day disasters, we became inseparable. We laughed about getting rich together or failing together. The point was, we were always a we. That changed at 5:13 a.m. last Tuesday. I was still half asleep when my phone buzzed. One of those pre-dawn vibrations that makes your stomach clench before your brain catches up. Notifications from 3 different apps, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all tagging me. That alone wouldn't have been alarming, except every one of them mentioned my name and the words toxic, fake, manipulative. I opened Instagram first. A reel was already playing. The video was grainy, filmed in our living room, my living room, without my knowledge. Camila sat on the couch, talking directly to the camera in a voice that was calculatedly broken, her makeup slightly smeared like she'd been crying, but her eyeliner still perfect. She started with, "I stayed silent for too long. But the truth needs to come out." Then came the accusations. That I had sabotaged our startup, stolen credit from her, manipulated clients behind her back. None of it true. Not a word. But it didn't matter. Not with the music swelling underneath and the captions timed perfectly to each dramatic beat. I blinked. The room felt suddenly unfamiliar. Same creaky floors, same thrifted couch, same burnt-out light over the sink. But everything felt wrong, like she'd stolen the air itself. I stood there barefoot, heart pounding, scrolling through hundreds of comments. This guy's trash. Typical manipulator. So glad she spoke up. And there it was, what she hadn't said to my face in months, suddenly broadcast to the world. I stepped into the hallway, still dazed. Her door was closed. Of course it was. Camila was always a morning person, just not the kind that greeted you with coffee. She was the kind that posted takedowns before breakfast. I opened the fridge, grabbed orange juice, and just stood there, watching the light flicker against a kitchen that had once felt like home. Her mug was in the sink. The same one I got her for her birthday, CEO in progress. I should have noticed it sooner. The way she'd grown distant. The quiet phone calls in the laundry room. The sudden privacy over shared work files. But I'd trusted her, stupidly, blindly, because that's what best friends do. Now I was the villain in a story I hadn't even been told was being written. And Camila? She'd just gone viral. By 9 a.m., the damage was already done. I hadn't even left my bedroom, hadn't eaten, hadn't spoken a word out loud. But the digital version of me, the one Camila had manufactured, was already being judged, torn apart, retweeted, stitched, dissected. Our startup, Driftfield, had a small but loyal following. We built analytics tools for indie creators, mostly podcasters and small media outfit. Nothing flashy, but it was real work. And now? Clients were messaging me to clarify the situation. A couple had already paused contract. I checked our shared business email. Camila had locked me out. Not changed the password. Locked me out completely. Disabled my admin access, rerouted customer support, and then, just for good measure, removed my name from the site's about page. I stared at the screen in disbelief. She hadn't posted the video in the heat of the moment. She'd planned this. Weeks, maybe months. I walked down the hall and knocked on her door. No answer. I tried again. Camila, we need to talk. Nothing. I pressed my ear to the door. Silence. I opened it. Empty. Her closet was half cleared out. Some clothes still on hangers, but the suitcase in the corner was gone. So was her MacBook, her charging cables, and the shoebox where she kept backup drives. She hadn't just blown up our friendship, she'd exited the building. The weirdest part? She left her keys on the kitchen table. On top of them was a printed invoice. An NDA template we'd drafted 6 months ago. Her name and mine, signed at the bottom. Except my signature had been forged. I sank into the couch and tried to breathe. This wasn't a tantrum or a cry for attention. It was a heist. And she'd done it with a smile. Camila had always been charming. People listened when she spoke. She had that way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. It's what made her great at pitching investors. I used to admire it. Now I understood it was a weapon. And I'd just been stabbed with it. I checked our business Slack. She'd removed me there, too. My own messages had been wiped, like I'd never existed. But the chat logs from the dev channel were still open in a browser tab I'd forgotten to close. And that's when I saw it. 3 weeks ago, late at night, she'd messaged our intern. Elias is checked out. I think I'll be taking the company solo soon. Just a heads up. The intern hadn't replied. Maybe they thought it was a joke. It wasn't. She hadn't just accused me. She'd rewritten our entire history and built scaffolding to support the lie. A lie the world had already decided was true. But I wasn't going down like that. She wanted to erase me. Ruin me. Replace me. What she didn't realize was this. I'd been documenting everything. Every GitHub commit, every email trail, every contract we signed, every client interaction. She took the front-facing story. I still had the receipt. The first person I called was Leighton Morrow, our lead investor. Not because I thought he'd believe me right away, but because I knew he'd care more about facts than feelings. Leighton wasn't sentimental. He was strategic. He once told me over lunch that loyalty meant nothing if it didn't come with quarterly growth. So I laid it out. The fake NDA. The account lockouts. The sudden rebranding. I sent him a PDF with time-stamped Slack messages, screenshots of her removing my access, and a compiled email trail showing my authorship on 3 of our core clients, contracts Camila had now claimed she negotiated solo. He was quiet for a while, then finally said, "Send me the full audit, Elias. If even half of what you're saying checks out, she's in violation of her founder agreement." That was step 1. Step 2 was less clean. I called Nadia, a friend who worked in digital forensics, more of a hacker than a data analyst. The kind of person who never posted on LinkedIn but had built her own encrypted server in high school for fun. "Nadia," I said, "I need to know what Camila's been doing with our shared drive. Anything deleted? Anything renamed? Any downloads in the last 30 days? She paused. "This about that video?" "Yeah. I saw it. She's a good actress. She's a better liar." That night, Nadia sent me a screen record of Camila logging into the back end of our file system from a new laptop, not her work laptop, something unregistered, and selectively deleting comments from design documents where I'd made contributions. Code commits were being overwritten. Even internal memos had been scrubbed to erase my authorship. It wasn't rage. It was revisionism. She was curating a story where she had built the company alone, struggled against an invisible co-founder, and triumphed solo. And worse, she was using the tools we had built, our own architecture, to do it. I stayed up until 3 a.m. writing a document called the Truth File. It was 47 pages long. It included every invoice, every client onboarding form, every calendar entry, even our pitch deck with metadata showing which slides I'd written. It wasn't flashy, but it was ironclad, bulletproof. In the morning, I sent it to Leighton. An hour later, he replied, "She's breached terms. I'm pulling funding. We'll initiate founder arbitration by end of week." I stared at the message, unsure how to feel. Relief? Anger? Vindication? Camila had set fire to our friendship and assumed I'd be too stunned to move. What she hadn't expected was that I'd spend the next 48 hours building a fireproof case. But I wasn't done. If she wanted to destroy my name in public, she'd do it on a stage I helped build. Now it was my turn. I posted a video. Nothing dramatic. Just me, sitting in the same living room she'd filmed her takedown. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I uploaded a screen recording showing our original founding document. Our equity split. Our Stripe account activity. Messages where she praised my client work. A recorded Zoom clip where she says, quote, "I could never do this without you." Then I looked straight into the camera. "I don't need to convince you I'm innocent," I said. "I just need to show you the truth." Within 6 hours, the post had over 140,000 views. And people started asking questions. Wait, why did she say she onboarded client X when this email proves Elias did? Why is her timeline off by 3 months? This is giving real gaslight energy. I wasn't trending, but I was cracking the story open. And once people start doubting the first version of events, they start looking closer at everything. Camila hadn't just made me her villain. She'd made herself the unreliable narrator. By the end of the week, the silence from Camila was deafening. No rebuttal, no clarification video, not even a single cryptic tweet. For someone who had built a carefully cultivated image of transparency and empowerment, her sudden disappearance only raised more questions. And the internet doesn't like unanswered questions. People started digging. Old collaborators came forward in DMs, telling me stories they'd been too nervous to share back then, clients she iced out when they asked too many questions, vendors she delayed payments to, a podcast interview she pulled because the host mentioned me in the pre-show note. It wasn't a one-time betrayal. It was a pattern. Meanwhile, Nadia kept digging through our shared servers. One night, just past 11 p.m., she messaged me, "You need to see this." She'd recovered deleted Slack messages, specifically from a private channel Camila had created with our intern, Leo. In one of them, Camila had written, "He won't fight back. He doesn't have the stomach for it. Just wait. By next week, it'll all be mine." That stung. Not just the betrayal, but the dismissal. Camila hadn't just plotted against me, she'd bet on my silence. I forwarded the screenshot to Leighton. The next morning, she was formally removed from the board of directors. Still, she didn't respond. Not publicly, not privately, but her assistant did. Her name was Mallory, a 23-year-old marketing grad Camila had hired part-time and treated like a personal cheerleader. She posted a now-deleted story on Instagram saying, "I never signed up for this level of deception. I'm out." The cracks were forming. And then the biggest one split everything open. A whistleblower post went viral on Twitter. Someone anonymous, but clearly from within our dev community, uploaded a comparison of our product timeline against public investor update. It showed that the demo Camila had showcased in our last pitch wasn't built yet, that she had borrowed early interface prototypes and animated them in After Effects to simulate real functionality. A mock-up, not a product. She hadn't just lied about me, she'd lied to funders. Tech Twitter caught fire. Founder fakes product demo, blames co-founder to cover her tracks? The fall of a girl boss. This is why due diligence matters. And then, like she couldn't help herself, Camila broke her silence. A tweet. Short. Simple. Defensive. It's easy to build a narrative when you edit out your own mistakes. "I'm not perfect, but I'm not a thief." No denial. No apology. Just deflection. It backfired instantly. People pulled up screenshots, timestamps, her original video. They compared it to mine. They zoomed in on background details. One person even noticed the NDA printout on our table was dated the day after she claimed she'd signed it. A minor inconsistency, but it broke the illusion. And the illusion was all she had left. Our biggest client, a media production group out of Denver, dropped her that afternoon. They emailed me directly, "We reviewed your materials. If you're rebuilding the platform without her, we'd still like to be involved." That was the first real win. Not just clearing my name, but reclaiming something she tried to erase, my future. Camila once told me in college that the worst thing someone can do to you isn't betrayal. It's rewriting your story, she'd said. Taking your name off something you built. Ironic now, because that's exactly what she did. But stories, like code, keep a changelog. And every lie leaves a fingerprint. It happened in the parking lot of a WeWork downtown. I hadn't planned it. I was meeting an investor contact for coffee, trying to rebuild the shattered skeleton of our company, when I saw her, Camila, standing outside the building, phone pressed to her ear, pacing, eyes wide. She hadn't seen me yet. For a second I froze. It had been weeks since we'd last spoken. Since she nuked my reputation in public and tried to delete me from our shared life like a corrupted file. But something about her body language was off. She looked small, tense, unstable in a way I'd never seen. This wasn't the poised, calculated operator who had curated her fall from grace silence. This was someone cornered. I walked toward her. She noticed me just as she ended her call. Her face changed, sharp and hale, jaw tightening like she'd swallowed a pin. Elias. Camila. Silence settled like a fog between us. She crossed her arms, but not out of confidence, more like protection. I assume you've seen everything. You mean the fake NDA, the forged Slack messages, the pitch deck you built using slides I wrote? Yeah. I've seen everything. She flinched at that but didn't break. You think I wanted it to go like this? You didn't just want this, I said quietly. You planned this. Her voice cracked. You were pulling away, ignoring meetings, going quiet on strategy calls. I thought you were setting me up to be the fall girl. I blinked. So your solution was to light me on fire first? She looked down. I made a mistake. I let the silence stretch. You didn't make a mistake, I said. You made 50. In sequence. You took what we built, turned it into a solo act, and lied to everyone who ever believed in us. You said I was toxic. You made a video about it. She looked up, eyes red. Because I was hurt. You weren't showing up anymore. You stopped trusting me. I stared at her. Camila, I trusted you with my name. With our company. With everything. You used that trust like a crowbar. That landed. She winced. I didn't think you'd fight back, she admitted after a beat. That was the quietest part of all. There it was. Her plan, finally spoken aloud. She didn't just want to win, she wanted me quiet. Crushed. Gone. I didn't fight back to hurt you, I said. I fought back to survive. She nodded slowly, like she knew it was over. All of it. I lost the board, the clients, even Mallory quit, she muttered. They think I'm a fraud now. You built that story, I said. I just showed them the unedited version. She took a step closer, voice barely audible. Elias, we were supposed to build something together. I never meant for it to end like this. And for one terrifying second, I believed her. Because that was her gift. She could make you believe anything. But this time, I didn't. I didn't burn this down, Camila. You did. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. There was nothing left to say. I walked away, heart pounding, hands shaking, but lighter than I'd felt in weeks. She had stolen my voice. But I took it back. The arbitration ruling came 2 weeks later. I read the email twice, not because I didn't understand it, but because I needed to be sure the words were real. Elias Hart is hereby reinstated as primary founder of Driftfield, with full access to IP, codebase, and client accounts. Ms. Reyes is to forfeit her equity and remove all public claims of sole authorship. It felt cold, clinical, but beneath the legal jargon was something warm and undeniable. I had won, not out of vengeance, not through spin, but by refusing to let someone else tell my story for me. I didn't announce it online. There was no viral comeback post. No truth wins victory lap. I'd had enough of the internet's judgment to last a lifetime. Instead, I got to work. I met with every client who had stayed. Every contractor Camila had ghosted. I apologized for what they'd seen and promised them what we were rebuilding would be transparent, accountable, and whole. Most of them smiled. A few even said, "Glad you're back." One night, weeks later, I got a call from Leighton. "I've spoken with the other investors," he said. "We're reinvesting. Smaller round, tighter terms. But we believe in you." That almost broke me. Not because I needed the money, but because I thought I'd lost the right to be believed in. Later that same week, I got an email from someone I didn't expect. Leo. The intern Camila had manipulated. Subject line: "Sorry I didn't say anything sooner." In the message, he explained everything: how she pressured him to stay quiet, fed him half-truths, made him feel like she was the only one telling the real story. "I was scared," he wrote. "But I see it now. What she did wasn't just personal, it was dangerous." He asked if he could come back. I said yes, because that's the thing about rebuilding: it's not about returning to what was. It's about choosing what stays and what doesn't. Camila tried to erase me. But in doing so, she erased herself. She vanished from the industry soon after. Deleted her socials. Shut down her Medium blog. Her name became shorthand for flame-out founders who got caught in their own lie. People still whisper about her, sometimes. But not with fear. With caution. As for me, I moved offices. Hired slow. Built slower. I didn't rush to prove anything. I didn't need to. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I was looking forward. And that, I've realized, is the quietest kind of revenge. Not noise. Not spectacle. Just surviving with your name intact. There's a photo on my desk now. It's not of Camila. It's of me, 2 years ago, standing on a makeshift stage at our first product launch, arms outstretched, grinning like an idiot in a hoodie that didn't fit. I keep it there to remind myself who I was before everything blurred. Before lies replaced loyalty, and business blurred into betrayal. Some days I look at it and laugh. Other days I wonder how I didn't see it coming. But most days, I just get back to work. That's what no one tells you about surviving a betrayal, not the cinematic version, the real thing. The part after the confrontation, after the fallout, after the silence. What comes next isn't some grand awakening. It's routine. It's learning how to walk through a room again without wondering what version of you people believe. It's picking up the pieces slowly, deliberately, and deciding which ones are still worth keeping. Camila didn't just try to ruin my reputation, she tried to erase me from my own history. And for a while I let her. I was so stunned, so embarrassed, so afraid of looking defensive that I almost gave her everything she asked for by staying quiet. But I didn't. I spoke up. Not with noise. Not with rage. Just with truth. And in the end, that was enough. The industry moved on. People forget faster than they think they will. But I never will. Not because I'm bitter, but because forgetting would mean I didn't learn anything. I learned who my friends are. I learned what it means to document everything, not for ego, but for protection. I learned how easily the story can be stolen if you let someone else hold the pen. But more than anything, I learned this. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't proving someone wrong. It's outlasting their version of you. And I did.